reason we brought Jasmine here today is she is going to reveal the secrets to breaking into a high-paying tech sales position. Jasmine, are you going to be able to deliver that to the people here today?
Absolutely. I'm here to drop gems.
I like that. Well, Jasmine, in my research, you have a really interesting background because I worked in tech sales for 5 years and I used to somewhat compete against the company you're currently working for. So it's a really great organization.
Yes.
So why don't you share with everyone what you're doing today just to build some credibility so the people say, hey, I want to be like Jasmine.
So what I'm doing today, I'm currently a business development rep with UKG. I am a relationship builder. I spark conversation. I do everything on the front end and partner with my AEs trying to make successful deals.
What would you say is a day in the life of a business development representative?
A day in the life, I would definitely say, is staying organized, being task oriented, and knowing who to kind of contact on your leads. What is going to be a strategic approach, if you will.
What's been the most challenging part about ramping up as a BDR? Because I noticed you're about 2 to 3 months in, and that was the time period when I started in my tech sales career. It became a bit overwhelming. Okay, I need to make 80, 100 calls a day if I'm going to be successful. Okay, I need to get used to this rejection thing. And there was a laundry list of learning the product. Mm-hmm. So what have been some of those biggest challenges with you learning this new job in tech sales?
So I would definitely say the biggest challenge has been being able to seamlessly navigate through all of the apps that we use, whether it be Salesforce, Outreach, and really being able to optimize my sales cadence and using those and making it work to my benefit. And staying on top of the events and campaigns and things that we do to kind of get the product in front of the people. That'll be a good segue in to say, hey, let's go ahead and do an eval meeting based off of the things that you kind of seen our product and what it can do.
It sounds like the sales technology has been a big adjustment for you, just navigating the systems to make sure you have the most leverage to do your job as successfully as possible.
For sure. Yes, most definitely. Because there's a lot to learn. There's a lot to learn, and these systems are built to make us better. So the better you are at focusing on how to use them to your best ability, the more successful you're going to be in the position, and as well as making sure you shadow fellow BDRs that are doing the job right now to kind of learn what do they do to make it better for them to be able to get those folks, get those meetings, get their dials in. What are they doing? So I definitely lean heavy on my team to get that knowledge. So it's not just a solo man show. Yes, I have to make the dials and get the numbers, but at the end of the day, we work as a team. So what might work for her or him might not necessarily work for me, but I can pick little things from them and incorporate that into my own personal style.
How important is that for a newer rep to seek out the guidance of folks who have been there and done that?
It is so important. It's pivotal to your career because we're coming in, I know for myself, not necessarily having the industry knowledge of being in tech sales in general. HR, yes, because I was an HR manager, so I know that aspect when it comes to the talk track. But leaning on my fellow coworkers was essential for me to be able to get to kind of where I am. And I'm still growing, still learning. So every step of the process, they are still open to say, hey, ping me on Teams. That way we can get on a call, share your screen so I can see what you're doing. If you're messing up, if you're taking too much time on this is what I do to kind of optimize my time. So it's pivotal to make those relationships and network within your company so you can really do a good job.
What's the best advice that you have received, whether it be from a teammate or someone that does not work at the company, that's helped you find your way?
As far as my way in the company or way in tech or way doing my way as far as the job itself?
The job itself.
I would say not being too hard on myself because I definitely would consider myself to be a perfectionist. Sales is like in my blood. So I like meeting people and hitting the numbers and getting the knowledge. So I feel like as people, we can be harder on ourselves. So someone definitely was like, Jasmine, don't be too hard on yourself. You got this job because your personality is amazing. We will help you along the way to learn all the technical aspects, but don't lose that personality hiding behind the fear of or being so hard on yourself. So that was the best piece of advice for sure.
I agree you have a great personality, but I could see if you being the HR, put on the HR hat for a moment, me walking into your office. I don't know if that's a conversation I want to have with Jasmine.
We'll take it easy for sure. I try to lead with good points and kind of reel it in on coachable moments is what I call it.
Yeah. Coachable moments. That's a nice way of putting it, but I'll try not be too hard on myself after learning some of those coachable moments. Why don't you share, Jasmine, why did you want to get into tech?
So the reason I really wanted to get into tech, so first of all, my household is all in tech. My husband is pursuing cybersecurity, and right now he's in IT support. I have a 14-year-old that is in high school, but he's also in college as well. He's getting his cybersecurity degree. So my whole house is kind of geared around something in tech. So I wanted something good and fruitful that I could bring to the dinner table when it comes to tech to talk about, because they're all having tech talk and I'm just kind of sitting on the side like, oh, I have nothing to contribute. So that was one of the aspirations, but really having the autonomy to really build that business and working remote was kind of really important for me. So tech has definitely opened up that realm of me being able to work from home and still doing what I love, is building relationships. And the ultimate goal is kind of to get into either AE, account executive, or even if that be pre-sales, just still in front facing with the customer.
It sounds like the flexibility with that work-life balance of being able to work remotely was a big drawing point for you. It seems like just understanding the lingo and the talk so that perhaps more relatable if family members were in tech, and then also the upside of, well, if I perform, I get paid, and then I get put into a role with more responsibility and more money. Can you talk about how you landed the business development role? Why don't you take us back maybe 4 or 6 months? Where were you at in life? What were you doing? And what was that moment where you said, man, I got to make a change. I'm going to pursue this path. And then how did you make that happen?
So being in the HR business office management role, working in nursing homes is extremely stressful. So I was just kind of at a point to where I wanted something that I was really passionate about, dealing with the people and betting on myself, because I knew that if I bet on myself, I'll always come out on top. And I worked in those jobs to where if you perform, you're going to get paid instead of just having just a strict baseline. And I did well in those jobs. So being in my 30s now, I want to do something I enjoy doing. So after talking to, my husband, a couple girlfriends, they mentioned tech sales. So that's kind of how it was on my radar. And I started looking at a couple podcasts. I looked you up, Trent, on YouTube, and really just kind of got intrigued. And I really appreciate your presence on social media, because it really makes a difference. So after looking at all those things, I got in contact with CourseCareers, because my girlfriend mentioned it to me, doing a tech boot camp. So decided to get into CourseCareers, did really well with that, and really took the advice, because my LinkedIn was already pretty solidified, because I've been on LinkedIn really active, but I really started to hone in and start knocking on as many doors as I could with companies that would fit my transferable skills. Seeing as if I haven't had the chance to be in a tech space before, I wanted to be strategic about it so I can get behind a product that I am familiar with, that I believe in, and UKG just kind of came on the radar. And truth be told, I didn't fill out an application. Didn't fill out an application with UKG. I knocked on doors and was really valuable with their time, asking them, I know your time is valuable, but can you please just give me a little bit of your time, explain to me how you got into the industry? What can I do to leverage myself to be in front of the decision makers? So ended up getting a message back from one of the senior directors. He liked my message. It stood apart. Had maybe a 2-3 minute conversation with them, and he moved me on to the interviewing process. And I really stayed in contact with CourseCareers in those meetings, doing interviewing prep, all of that cold calling prep. I was really honing in on my skill. So the interviewing process was a breeze, and that's what brought me to UKG, really networking.
Let's double click on that process, Jasmine. And I want everyone to really listen up now, because most people think, let me apply directly, let me go in the front door, but there's also the back door, right? You can go knocking on these doors, and it sounds like you leveraged the network and you had pre-existing experience, so you could have just started applying, but you took a step back and decided to invest in yourself to gain the information so that you had more credibility to what you were saying. Hey, I understand what it means to cold call, cold email, et cetera, et cetera. Talk us through that system of knocking on these doors and networking your way into a company to get hired.
So it's extremely pivotal that your LinkedIn presence is solid. So what I did was I developed a message that I was sending out to people that were BDRs, the hiring managers, C-level. I didn't just stop at just the BDRs because I knew I could gain a relationship with the BDRs, with the hiring manager, whoever it was that was willing to take my call and let's talk off of LinkedIn to build that relationship. So by me connecting with so many different people on so many different levels, I developed relationships with BDRs to where they were actually able to tell me the insight to their company, who is the decision maker, who to really kind of talk to, and as well as coaching me through the process of the interview. So they didn't just stop there and letting me know where to go. No, we had weekly conversations. Jasmine, where are you at? Have you heard back from this recruiter? What's going on with this? I love you so much. Your personality is so great. I'm going to drop a bug in this person's ear and let them know, like, hey, you're looking. Oh, who's going to be interviewing you today? Let me go and talk to them. So I feel like it's extremely pivotal to make those relationships. And I would comment and like their posts so they can continuously see my name, Jasmyn Johnson, to where now I've built that level of they're familiar with me. Okay, this girl she's making some heat. She's definitely putting herself out there. So I'm like, hey, and that's actually what one of my senior directors said. He said, where there's heat, there's smoke. The one that hired me, because I continuously was connecting with the right people and valuing their time because I was serious with it. I feel like that's extremely important. If you're not ready and serious about this, these people are busy. This is a fast moving industry. Like, be serious about what you want and ready to take in the information, see what you can change, and be really receptive to the feedback.
How does someone know if they're ready or not?
I would definitely say when you are knowledgeable about the area, you feel more comfortable with being able to have these conversations, and you're setting apart time to actually dedicate to what you want. So I set apart at least an hour of my day on LinkedIn, and sometimes even more, or setting apart an hour or two of my day, getting on these calls with fellow students that's in CourseCareers, just really kind of game planning off of each other. Iron sharpens iron. So just really making sure that I am present, I am there in the moment, and being very intentional.
How did you decide to do CourseCareers?
I decided to do CourseCareers from a girlfriend that mentioned it to me, and I knew that even if, seeing as if I had a background in sales, I was kind of comfortable because I could have applied without even doing CourseCareers, to be honest. But I knew that with having CourseCareers, it would give me a solid talk track when it came to the things that they were going to be asking me in these interviews. And what I noticed, they're really big on cold calling. How do you feel about getting on the phone call with people who are going to reject you, hang up on you, friendly with you? You're going to get all aspects of it. Where are you at with that? So our CourseCareers definitely helped me with my talk track and giving me that baseline and that confidence to go in and say, hey, I invested in myself by taking this course, because they recognize that you're actually paying money to leverage your knowledge. It goes a long way. And that's kind of what also helped me get pushed along, because they saw Jasmine invested in herself to do CourseCareers. I can appreciate someone getting 1% better every day.
You talked about setting time aside each day to focus on the main things. So prospecting on LinkedIn to identify people that could influence career decisions, investing in the information that will make you a more differentiated and valuable candidate. Can you talk about some of those biggest learnings in real life applications of what you gained in CourseCareers? You had talked about sales technology at the beginning of our meeting being really important. I know we talk a lot about sales tech in CourseCareers. We talk about cold calling. Talk about some of the biggest lessons that you learned in CourseCareers that you are now actually using in the real world as a BDR.
For sure. Zoom info was definitely one that, because you get a lot of information from Zoom info. So I'm always in Zoom info. Salesforce being able to be privy to these things on Course Careers. And I feel like we've done, I'm not sure if we had outreach in Course Careers because I use that as well a lot alongside with my sales force. But seeing these things in Course Careers, all of these CRMs, I wasn't afraid and just kind of not having that syndrome, imposter syndrome, like, oh, what am I doing here? I had an understanding, a baseline of what I needed to be able to get in, to really dig in, to make it work to the best of my ability.
What's next for Jasmine? As you think about 2-3 months in as a BDR, you talked about getting to an account executive. How do you see the next 6 months playing out?
I definitely think that it will be a continuous progression. I'm definitely a healthy competitor, so I want to continue to see my name on the top of the board for sure. Just really developing my skill set. And what's great about UKG, they have mentorship programs. So I have now connected with hopefully a mentor that's a sales director right now to really see what that track looks like, to move up in the company, to kind of spread my wings and to be more. And I love networking. So that's another good thing I want to do, is be able to get my face out in front of everyone, but really possibly being an AE, pre-sales, over a team, learning the baseline of what that looks like. Because I like to start from the bottom. That way I know what everyone is experiencing once, and if and will I do make it to the top.
What advice would you have for someone out there listening? They're saying, Jasmine's the success student. I'm on the fence. I'm thinking about going to tech sales. I don't know if I'm quite ready to commit. I don't know if I want to pay $500 for Course Careers or use code Trent50 to save $50, save a little bit of money. But what advice would you have for someone out there that's thinking, this sounds great, the work-life balance, the flexibility, the money, tech? What advice would you have for that person
to get
out
out of your own way? Get out of your way, because I feel like we get so much in our head to where we can pivot our success and our growth. Course Careers is amazing. It gives an absolute great baseline for you to be able to propel your knowledge in even more with whatever company that you go with. I feel like it's necessary if you're trying to break in to tech. Don't be afraid, because Course Careers was an absolute great choice that I made. I made so many great connections, lifelong friends, and just the networking possibilities are limitless.
That's powerful right there, Jasmine. Well, for anyone out there listening that appreciated that and wants to follow in Jasmine's footsteps in the tech industry, you can visit the first link in the description below for the free tech sales intro course. You'll learn more about why tech sales, what you're actually doing, and how to get started. Check out Jasmine on LinkedIn. I'm sure, to her point, she had a built-out LinkedIn that helped her then get exposure to these executives and leaders that could be in a position to hire her. So, Jasmine, thank you so much for being here today and being an inspiration to everyone listening.
Of course, thank you. Thank you, Trent.